All right, he stuck a milchik spoon into a pot of boiling hot meat. Im gimel. Im ye samach. If there is 60 times as much meat in the stew, not just meat, if there's 60 times as much stew, let's say there's pieces of meat, there's carrots, there's water, you take the whole thing together, if there's 60 times as much in the meat stew as there was that amount of the spoon, the milchik spoon that you inserted, then hakadera v'hatav shel mutarim, then the pot and the food are all permissible. Both the pot and the food. If there's not 60 in the cholent, for instance, you stuck, let's say, a big ladle, thick ladle that's 1 kazayas big, 1 ounce. The metal is 1 ounce big. You stuck it into a pot of boiling milk. You take it out and you wash it off. This ladle, it's a 1 ounce of metal in the end of this ladle, the cup part of the ladle. You stick that 1 ounce by mistake into a pot of boiling meat. Now you have to have at least 60 times in that meat to negate the 1 ounce of meat taste that's in milk taste that is in that ladle. What happens if you don't have 60 times as much meat? You only have 59 ounces of meat. I mean, meat together with the potatoes and the stew and the water. You only have 59 times. So then the whole stew is forbidden. Stuck on milchik a spoon. And the pot also is forbidden. But if you do have 60 times as much soup or cholent against that milchik a spoon, then the stew is permissible and the pot is permissible. But the ladle of lakaf, but the ladle asur is forbidden, whether the spoon was milchik and the pot was fleshik, or the pot was fleshik. Because now this spoon is now filled up with meat and milk, even if there is 60. Afilu b'diavad, even after the act, even after you've already done it, oseret, it is forbidden. And if you stuck this spoon, this milchik spoon, you stuck it into meat, and then you took it out of the meat, even if there was 60 times meat against the spoon, you wash the spoon off, and then you stirred with a spoon a big pot of potatoes. That pot now has to have 60 times against that spoon. The spoon is forbidden. If that pot does not have 60 times as much potatoes or potato soup or whatever there is in there, you add up the water and the potatoes and everything all together. If it doesn't have 60 against that spoon, then all those potatoes are forbidden. Im chazer v'tachvul bein b'basar bein b'chalav kol zaman, all the time that it is bas yoma, all the time that it is within 1 day. If there is 60, the whole thing is forbidden, and is forbidden even in hana, even to get pleasure from it, and even the pot is forbidden. But you can put in this pot, and I'll explain this, what's going on over here. You took a big ladle, you stuck it into boiling milk, you washed it off. You took this ladle and you stuck it into a pot of boiling meat. And there was 60 times meat against the amount of ladle that you stuck in, the metal of the ladle. You pulled it out. Now the meat is permissible, but that ladle is forbidden. If you stick that ladle into milk or meat and really into anything else, you're going to have to have 60 in that whatever you stick in. Stick it into pea soup. 60 in the, you don't have 60 in the pea soup, then the whole entire thing becomes forbidden. The whole pot becomes forbidden. But you can use that pot to put fruits in when it's cold and things like that. Perot or tzonin, because you're not getting any pleasure from the milk and meat. Now you can't get any pleasure from milk and meat, but here, because the pot becomes forbidden from milk and meat, but nevertheless, you're not getting any pleasure from that taste. So you can use that pot to put in flowers or to put in even food, cold food, put it in there, no problem. Now, this is only talking about that the spoon is ben yomo. Remember, we learned before what is ben yomo? Ben yomo means that the spoon was used less than 24 hours ago. Then the spoon is considered to be active milk. If it was more than 24 hours ago, then the spoon does not have a forbidden taste of milk, but it is still considered to be milk. You can't use it. Can't use it. The difference between l'chadchila and b'diavad. Let's learn two more laws. Daled, im ein hakaf ben yomo. What if the spoon was used, you stuck it into the milk, washed it off, and you waited 24 hours before you stuck it into the meat? Then even if there is not 60 in the meat against this milchika spoon, because the spoon was used more than 24 hours ago, the pot and the food of meat are permissible. But the spoon is still forbidden l'chadchila. You cannot use the spoon, not with milk and not with meat. But mikol makom b'diavad, if you did use the spoon with, again, you use the spoon again with meat, it's permissible all the time. B'diavad. So in other words, let's go, let me just tell you what this law is. You, by mistake, took a spoon, brand new spoon, and you stuck it into milk purposely and stirred the milk. No problem. Then you took that spoon and you stuck it into a pot of meat, or somebody else did, unknowingly, and you stirred it around. That meat has to have 60 times as much as whatever you stuck in this milchika spoon inside of it. If it does have 60, then the spoon is forbidden. If it does not have 60, then the whole business is forbidden. Everything is forbidden. But what if you waited a day between the milk, you stuck in the milk, you took it out, washed it off, and by mistake took this milchika spoon and you put it with the meat spoons. And someone took this spoon one day later or more than a day later and stirred up milk with it, and stirred up meat with it, stirred up meat. And you come in and you say, what are you doing with my spoon? Say, I'm still stirring up meat with it. It's my milchika spoon. I use milk with it. Oh, whoa. Look at it. It's a nice big spoon. There's not enough milk. I'm going to have to throw the whole thing away. He says, no, you don't. I used that spoon and milk more than 24 hours ago. So therefore, it's permissible. He says, oh, it's permissible. Then I can use it another time. Says, no. It's only permissible if you did it. But you cannot do it. That's called b'diavad and l'chadchila. B'diavad, if you stuck this eino ben yoma, this 24-hour plus old spoon into meat, then b'diavad it's okay, but l'chadchila you can never use it. In other words, if you stuck a spoon into milk, you can never use that spoon with meat, even 100 years later. Can't do it. Some people say if you wait a year, I didn't see that in the Shulchan Aruch.
So you're saying that after you did this, if you do it by accident, it's okay, but you can't do it on purpose. If it's over 24
right,
hours.
That's right. If it's more than 24 hours. Because if you could do it on purpose, what would happen? You wouldn't have to have milchik and fleshik dishes. All you'd have to have is dishes that were used within 24 hours and after 24 hours. After 24 hours, everything goes. Right? We don't care what you used it. You would use it with milk, you used it with meat, you used it with treif. Right? A goy stirred up his rabbits, whatever. Wait 24 hours, you could use it. That's ridiculous. It's not the law. Once something becomes forbidden, it's forbidden forever. But if it's after 24 hours, then if you use it, it doesn't make something else forbidden. That's the point. It doesn't make something else forbidden. So a spoon that's used with milk, it's milchik for all time until you kosher it. But if you stuck this after 24 hours, you stuck this milchik spoon into meat, then it doesn't have the power to make something else. It's not that doesn't have the power, it doesn't have the taste. Okay, can we do one more? We'll start one more. Why not? Okay, now we're going to get to this law about not barnat. not Barnat is an abbreviation. Notain Tam, the son of Notain Tam. Let me just give a preface to this. We'll see if we'll learn it or not. If you take a piece of meat and you stick this piece of meat into a pot of water and you pull the meat out of the water, the law is that we treat it as though all of the taste of the meat goes into the water and remains also in the meat. In other words, you have 1 ounce of meat, you put into water, boiling water, you take it out. Now that water is meaty, and it's treated as though it has 1 ounce of meat in it. Therefore, if you pour milk in that, or you pour, let's say, this whole thing into milk, then you're going to have in that milk, you're going to have 60 times the amount of meat that you've got. We don't say that the water becomes nevela. The water does not become all forbidden. The water only has the taste of 1 ounce of meat in it. But that doesn't make any sense, because you had 1 ounce of meat you stuck in. You took out the 1 ounce of meat. Here's the 1 ounce of meat. Here it is. 1 ounce of meat you're holding in your hand, 1 ounce. How could that 1 ounce of meat taste also be in the pot? You're holding it in your hand. But that's what the rabbis say. Okay, now, what happens if you pour that water out of the pot? Now you have the taste of meat in that pot. What happens now if you boil milk in that pot? Now, you have to have 60 in the milk against that 1 ounce of meat. We say the taste went into the walls also. I thought you said the taste goes into the water. You poured out the water. That's what we say. It went into the walls also. Okay? Some people will say you have to make an estimation of how much it is. Okay, now what if you stuck a spoon into that water? You put a piece of meat in the water, took it out. Now you stuck a spoon in that water. Right? Does that spoon become meaty? Well, let's take another case. You take that water from this fleshika pot. You boil in that pot. You boil water in the pot. You poured out the water that had the actual meat in it. Now the pot is meaty. We say it has 1 ounce of meat in it. You boil water in that pot. And you take that water and you make coffee from it. And put a little bit of milk in that coffee. What's the law? Happens on Shabbos sometimes. This happens on Shabbos, where people by mistake, they take a fleshika pot, they put it before Shabbos, they boil water before Shabbos. And that pot has been used with meat less than 24 hours ago. And someone takes from that pot water and makes coffee with it and puts milk in the coffee. Ooh, the water is fleshik. What's going on? So now we have the law of if a thing gets its fleshik taste, meat taste, does it get it directly from the piece of meat, or does it get it from something that got its taste from a piece of meat? That's what we call notain tam. The thing itself just gives a taste, and that taste now gets swallowed into something else, which in turn gives that taste off. That's called a double taste, and we're going to learn what the law of that is tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow.